For centuries, we've been shown this Hannibal, pale-skinned, European-looking, an image built by painters long after his death. But ancient Carthage was an African empire, and the man who almost destroyed Rome may have looked nothing like the portraits you've seen. This is the untold truth of why Hannibal was black. Carthage, founded in the 9th century BCE in what is now Tunisia, was born of Phoenician traders from the Levant. But they didn't settle alone. Over centuries, they mixed with the indigenous Berber, or Amazigh peoples of North Africa, a population that included dark-skinned Africans from the Saharan and sub-Saharan regions through centuries of trade, intermarriage, and migration. By the time Hannibal was born in 247 BCE, Carthage was no colony. It was a North African superpower, feared across the Mediterranean. Its leaders were African-born, its army recruited from across the continent, and its culture a blend of Phoenician and African traditions. Hannibal was the son of Hamilcar Barca, a Carthaginian general who led campaigns across North Africa and Iberia. The Barca family name itself may have Berber roots, tied to the word bark, meaning lightning. Hannibal's upbringing was not in the palaces of Europe, but under the burning African sun, trained alongside Numidian cavalry, famed for their speed and mastery of desert warfare. From an early age, Hannibal's worldview was African. His closest allies were Numidians, dark-skinned horsemen whose loyalty would shape his military genius. In Hannibal's time, there was no single word for black as we use it today. But Rome knew he was African. Roman writers called him Poenus, Punic, meaning Carthaginian, and Afer, meaning African. And they saw him as foreign, other, and dangerous. If history is written by the victors, what else have we been shown about Africa's greatest general that isn't true? Subscribe to Silent Dynasties and let's set the record straight. No surviving text from Hannibal's lifetime describes his skin color directly. But the absence of description in Greco-Roman texts often meant typical for an African, dark skin, curly or coiled hair. In ancient art, when Carthaginians and Numidians appear, they're often depicted with features associated with black Africans. Yet, centuries later, during the Renaissance and colonial periods, European painters began portraying Hannibal with pale skin, European noses, and straight hair, not because of evidence, but because they couldn't imagine a man of African descent humiliating Rome. This was historical whitening, erasing Africa from one of history's most brilliant military minds. North Africa in Hannibal's era was not racially uniform. Along its coasts lived people with lighter skin due to Phoenician and Greek ancestry. Inland, darker-skinned Berbers, Nubians, and West Africans moved freely through trade routes that connected the Sahara to the Mediterranean. Hannibal's army reflected this diversity, a mosaic of Africans, Iberians, Gauls, and Balearic slingers. But to Rome, he was simply the African. That title alone challenges the whitened image history later produced. Hannibal's blackness, whether defined by heritage, birthplace, or political identity, was inseparable from his story. His strategies at Trebia, Trasimene, and Cannae remain unmatched. But his image, over time, was stolen. In textbooks, in movies, in art, Africa's role was quietly erased, replaced by a Europeanized myth. Restoring his African identity is not rewriting history, it's reclaiming it. Whether you call him African, Berber, or black, Hannibal was a son of Africa who nearly toppled the mightiest empire of his age. And that, perhaps, is why his true image has been hidden.